Do you feel that something invisible is blocking your blessings? That constant sensation that no matter how much you pray, your prayers seem to hit a spiritual wall and return unanswered? It's not a coincidence. Thousands of faithful people face this same silent affliction every day without understanding its true origin. The symptoms are clear. Restless nights with recurring nightmares, a shadow that seems to watch you from the corners of your eyes, arguments that arise without reason at home, unexplained tiredness upon waking, and that persistent feeling that something dark is waiting to manifest in your life. If you feel that you need protection, comment now. I am protected by divine light. This phrase has power. It's the first step of your spiritual shield. Words create spiritual realities, and by declaring your protection, you are already altering the energetic field around you. But this is just the beginning of your journey to liberation. What I'm about to reveal was kept as a spiritual secret by Father Peter of Pine Grove, the saint of the stigmata, the one who fought demons in nightly spiritual battles. In his almost 50 years of ministry, Father Peter discovered something that few know. Holy water, when used incorrectly, can become not only ineffective, but dangerously counterproductive. This knowledge came through a divine revelation after a particularly intense spiritual battle, where he realized that many faithful were inadvertently nullifying divine protection in their own homes. Holy water is not a simple symbol. It is a direct channel of divine grace, a sacramental that carries the blessing of the Church and the power of Christ over all forces of darkness. In the tradition that Father Peter preserved, holy water is considered one of the most powerful instruments of spiritual combat, capable of dissipating evil influences, breaking generational curses, and creating a protective shield around the home and the person who uses it with true faith. However, its power can be compromised or even reversed, depending on how and where you keep it. A faithful follower of Father Peter, after months suffering with severe spiritual disturbances, sought the saint in confession. She reported unexplainable phenomena in her house, objects that moved by themselves, a feeling of oppression at dusk, constant fights between family members who previously lived in harmony, and disturbing dreams with shadowy figures. The woman was desperate as she prayed the rosary daily and kept holy water in her house, but the situation only worsened. It was then that Father Peter asked a simple question that would change everything. Where do you keep the holy water in? Your house? The woman's answer revealed the problem that affects thousands of Christian homes to this day. By the bathroom door, on the floor. Father Peter's face immediately hardened, and he pronounced words that need to echo in your heart. Now, you placed light where impurity dwells. The sacred should not inhabit the profane. This revelation exposed a fundamental spiritual principle. Holy water, due to its sacred character, establishes a direct connection with the divine, but when positioned in locations associated with impurity, disposal, or carelessness, this connection is corrupted, creating a portal for negative influences. This is the knowledge that needs to be rescued today. Holy water is not just a blessed liquid, it is a substance transformed by prayer and sacramental power. When you respect it and use it correctly, it becomes a powerful weapon against all forms of evil. When disrespected, however, it loses its effectiveness and can even attract what it should repel. The ritual that Father Peter taught for the correct use of holy water is simple but profoundly powerful. It begins with the understanding that holy water should be kept in an elevated, clean and dignified location, never on the floor, never in bathrooms, never near trash or shoes. The ideal is to keep it in a small home altar or near the main entrance of the house as a spiritual guardian of the home. Now, pay attention to the complete ritual that was transmitted by Father Peter and that few know in its entirety. To perform it, you will need a small glass vial, preferably new. Holy water obtained from the church, a white candle, a rosary or crucifix, your sincere faith. The ritual should preferably be performed at dawn or dusk, moments when the veil between the spiritual and physical worlds becomes thinner, facilitating the action of divine grace. Choose a Tuesday or Saturday, days traditionally associated with spiritual protection in devotion to Saint Michael the Archangel and the Virgin Mary, respectively. Begin by preparing a small temporary altar in an elevated location in your home, away from any source of impurity. On a white cloth, arrange the candle, not yet lit, the rosary or crucifix, and the empty vial. Purify your hands by washing them with neutral soap, drying them completely. This gesture symbolizes the inner purification necessary to handle sacred objects. Light the candle, reciting 3 times. Lord, be light in my life. Drive away all darkness. The flame represents the divine presence and the light that dissipates darkness. Say a brief prayer of intention, explaining to the Lord that you desire to purify your home and establish divine protection through holy water. Take the empty vial in your hands and, raising it slightly, make the sign of the cross over it, saying, "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I consecrate this container to hold the holy water that will protect my home." Repeat this consecration 3 times, signifying the Holy Trinity. Now, with reverence, transfer the holy water to the consecrated vial. While doing this, recite 7 times the ejaculatory prayer, "Holy water, pure water, keep all evil away from me." The number 7 represents perfection and completeness in biblical symbolism, indicating complete protection. With the vial now filled, hold it with both hands and raise it to eye level, directing it to the 4 corners of the house, starting from the east, where the sun rises, and turning clockwise. At each direction say, "By this holy water, and through the intercession of Father Peter, all evil returns to its origin. Nothing can reach me. I am protected by divine light." Quick pause. If you're taking notes, write everything down carefully. Don't skip any detail. Each gesture you make activates an ancient spiritual force. Precision in the ritual is fundamental for its full effectiveness. Many perform only parts of the process and then wonder why they didn't obtain the expected results. The power is in the complete sequence, in sincere faith, and in the reverence with which each step is executed. Continuing the ritual. After consecrating the vial, you must choose the appropriate location for it in your house. This is a crucial point that many ignore. According to Father Peter's teachings, the ideal location is near the main door or on a home altar, always in an elevated position. Never place holy water in bathrooms, near trash, on the floor, or in passage areas where it might be knocked over. The location should be treated with the same respect you would have for a sacred object inside a church. When positioning the vial in its definitive location, trace the sign of the cross over it 3 times and recite this prayer revealed by Father Peter. "Lord Jesus Christ, who through this holy water consecrated in your name pours blessings upon the faithful, allow it to be for my house a shield against all forces of evil, all spiritual attacks, and all negative influences. By your holy cross, by your holy wounds, and by the power of your precious blood, seal this water with your divine protection. Amen." After establishing the holy water in its appropriate place, you should use it daily in a morning ritual of protection. Upon waking, even before performing any other activity, go to the holy water vial and with devotion make the sign of the cross by moistening your fingers in it. While tracing the sign of the cross on your forehead, say, "By the holy water and by the blood of Christ, I am sealed against all evil." This simple gesture creates a spiritual seal that will accompany you throughout the day. On Sundays, expand this ritual by sprinkling a few drops of holy water in each room of the house. always in a clockwise direction, starting from the main entrance. While doing this, recite 7 times, "Blood of Christ, purify this home. Holy water, expel all evil. All evil returns to its origin. Nothing can reach me. I am protected by divine light." This Sunday practice renews the spiritual protection of the entire house for the week that begins. Many wonder why this ritual with holy water is so powerful. The explanation, according to the mystical teachings preserved by Father Peter, lies in the dual nature of water as a physical and spiritual element. Water has the natural capacity to purify and dissolve impurities on the material plane. When blessed through the rituals of the Church, this purifying capacity extends to the spiritual plane, dissolving negative energies, cutting unwanted spiritual connections, and creating a vibrational barrier that repels evil influences. Father Peter explained that demons and negative entities detest holy water for 3 fundamental reasons. First, because it carries the direct blessing of the Church, which represents Christ's authority on earth. Second, because holy water reminds of baptism, a sacrament that removes us from the dominion of darkness. And third, because holy water is a symbol of divine grace that cleanses, purifies, and renews, characteristics diametrically opposed to the nature of spiritual darkness. The spiritual effects of this ritual with holy water are profound and often immediate. Many people report an almost instant sensation of relief, as if an invisible weight were removed from their shoulders. Others notice that the home environment becomes lighter, with fewer arguments and more harmony among family members. There are reports of significant improvement in sleep quality with the end of recurring nightmares and the emergence of inspiring and comforting dreams. In more serious cases of negative spiritual influence, the purification process may initially manifest as a temporary intensification of problems. This occurs because the negative forces, upon realizing they are being expelled, try to resist. This period, however, rarely lasts more than 3 days and is followed by a substantial and lasting improvement. During this transition time, intensify your prayers and the frequency with which you use holy water, reaffirming your faith and your spiritual determination. The testimony of Mrs. Mary Connors, a devout woman from Boston who consulted Father Peter in the 1950s, illustrates the transformative power of this ritual. For more than 2 years, Mary suffered from a mysterious condition that doctors couldn't diagnose. Constant fatigue, intense headaches, insomnia, and an oppressive sensation of being watched. Her house, once a happy home, had become a stage for constant arguments, failing businesses, and a heavy atmosphere that visitors frequently commented on. Mary kept holy water at home, but stored it in a small vial on the bathroom floor, considering that it would be always at hand for spiritual emergencies. After confessing to Father Peter and learning the correct handling of holy water, she immediately implemented the complete ritual. In the first week, an extraordinary transformation began. The headaches diminished, sleep normalized, and, most surprisingly, the oppressive atmosphere of the house dissipated. After a month, Mary was completely recovered. Her family had rediscovered harmony, and even the businesses began to prosper again. It wasn't the water that changed, Father Peter later explained to other faithful, using Mary's case as an example. It was the attitude of reverence and the correct positioning of the sacred that allowed divine grace to flow without obstacles. This is a fundamental spiritual principle. Sacred objects are not magical amulets that work automatically. Their effectiveness depends on faith, reverence, and compliance with the spiritual laws that govern their use. This deeper understanding reveals to us that the spiritual battle is not only against external forces, but also against our own ignorance of spiritual laws. Often, without realizing it, we compromise our spiritual protection through seemingly insignificant gestures, such as incorrectly positioning holy water or treating it without due reverence. The ritual I shared with you today is not just a formula for spiritual protection, it is an invitation to rediscover the power of sacramentals when used with authentic faith and adequate knowledge. Holy water is not just water, it is a vehicle of divine grace, a channel through which God's power can manifest in your daily life. In his last years of life, Father Peter frequently warned his spiritual children about the intensification of spiritual battles in future times. "A time will come," he said, "when knowledge of the true practices of spiritual protection will be more necessary than ever. That time is now. Negative spiritual forces multiply in a world increasingly distant from the foundations of faith, and those who know and correctly practice protection rituals will have a significant advantage in this invisible battle." Holy water, when used according to the teachings that Father Peter preserved, becomes not only a shield against evil, but also a channel of positive blessings. Many devotees who follow this ritual report not only the cessation of problems, but also the flourishing of blessings, unexpected opportunities, family reconciliations, physical and emotional healings, and a profound feeling of inner peace that remains even amid the turbulence of daily life. It's important to understand that this ritual with holy water does not replace the sacraments of the Church or the life of prayer. On the contrary, it complements and strengthens these fundamental practices. Regular confession, the Eucharist, and daily prayer form the foundation of spiritual life upon which practices like this can flourish. A common mistake is to treat sacramentals as substitutes for sacraments, when in fact they are extensions of sacramental grace in daily life. Another frequently neglected aspect is the need to periodically renew holy water. Ideally, every 7 weeks, you should obtain fresh holy water from the Church and perform the vial consecration ritual again. This maintains spiritual potency at its maximum level and reaffirms your commitment to devotional practice. When finishing the old holy water, never dispose of it in the drain or common trash. Pour it on untrodden earth, such as a garden or plant pot, respecting its sacred nature until the end. Some people question if they can prepare holy water at home. According to the tradition preserved by Father Peter, the ideal holy water is that blessed by a priest following the official ritual of the Church. However, in exceptional cases where it is not possible to obtain consecrated holy water, you can prepare an emergency protection water using pure water, a pinch of salt, symbol of purification, and a sincere prayer invoking the blessing of the Holy Trinity. This water does not substitute official holy water, but can serve as a temporary measure until you obtain true holy water. The effectiveness of this ritual depends not only on the water itself, but also on the frequency and consistency with which you practice it. Just as physical protection requires constant habits of hygiene and care, spiritual protection demands regular practices. Many people abandon the ritual after a few weeks when the initial problems are resolved, only to see them return with greater intensity. Spiritual protection is not a one-time event, but a continuous process that requires constant vigilance. It is common to experience internal resistance when starting this practice, from simply forgetting the morning ritual to skeptical thoughts questioning its effectiveness. Recognize these resistances as part of the process, possibly even as signs that negative forces are trying to prevent you from establishing effective protection. Persistence in the first 21 days is crucial to establish the spiritual habit and overcome these initial resistances. As you integrate this ritual into your daily routine, you will gradually notice a more acute spiritual sensitivity, an ability to discern more clearly the positive and negative influences in your life. Many people report that after weeks of correctly practicing the ritual, they develop a kind of inner alarm that alerts them when they are about to enter spiritually heavy environments or when people with negative energies approach them. The way you execute the ritual is as important as the ritual itself. Father Peter emphasized that mechanical gestures, devoid of faith and intention, produce minimal results. When you trace the sign of the cross with holy water, do it with full awareness of the meaning of this gesture. You are literally marking yourself with the symbol of redemption, invoking the protection that comes from Christ's sacrifice. This awareness exponentially amplifies the effectiveness of the ritual. Not all spiritual problems respond with the same speed to this ritual. Recent issues of lesser intensity generally resolve in the first 7 days of consistent practice. Older problems, especially those with roots in family spiritual inheritances or deep traumas, may require more time, sometimes up to 7 weeks of daily practice before results become evident. Patience and perseverance are essential virtues in spiritual combat. When used as part of a balanced spiritual life, this ritual with holy water can transform not only your house, but also your interior. The spiritual peace that many seek in distant pilgrimages or extreme practices can be found in the silent power of this sacramental used daily with faith and knowledge. An interesting phenomenon reported by many who correctly practice this ritual is the change in the quality of their dreams. Recurring nightmares and disturbing dreams generally cease, being replaced by dreams of a higher nature. Some report dreams with inspiring spiritual content, visits from deceased loved ones, bringing messages of comfort or simply deeper and more restorative sleep. This transformation of the dream world is a sign of the purification that occurs at the deepest levels of the psyche when negative spiritual influences are driven away. Another common but rarely discussed effect is the improvement in family relationships. Houses affected by negative spiritual influences frequently become emotional battlefields with unexplainable arguments and persistent resentments. The purification of the environment through the correct use of holy water removes these disturbing influences, allowing love and understanding to flow naturally among family members. Many report seemingly miraculous reconciliations after weeks of consistent practice of the ritual. The testimony of Mr. Anthony, a merchant from Texas who consulted Father Peter in the 1960s, is particularly notable. After years of prosperity, his business entered an unexplainable decline. Simultaneously, his house became a stage for disturbing phenomena, night noises, objects that changed places, and an oppressive atmosphere that affected everyone. Anthony kept holy water at home, but stored it carelessly under the kitchen sink, along with cleaning products. After learning the correct ritual from Father Peter, Anthony not only repositioned the holy water in an elevated and dignified location, but also established the daily practice of sprinkling and prayer. The results were transformative. The disturbing phenomena completely ceased in just 3 days. Even more impressive, his business began to recover in the following weeks, with old customers returning and new opportunities arising as if a dark cloud had been removed, in Anthony's own words. What changed was not just the position of the holy water, explained Father Peter when Anthony returned to thank him, but your attitude toward the sacred. You restored spiritual order in your house, and this order was reflected in all aspects of your life. This revealing observation shows us that the organization of our spiritual space has effects that extend far beyond the visible, affecting all dimensions of our existence. It's time to apply this knowledge in your own life. Examine honestly. Where do you keep holy water in your house? How often and in what manner do you use it? Do you treat it with the reverence due to a powerful sacramental, or do you consider it just another religious object without deep meaning? The answers to these questions may reveal why certain difficulties persist in your life, despite your prayers and religious practices. Perform this ritual today. Don't wait. The energy around you is already moving. The protection you seek is in your hands now. Each moment of delay is a lost opportunity to initiate your liberation and protection. Spiritual forces do not respect our procrastination or our tomorrows. They operate in the eternal present, and it is in the present that we must act. Father Peter frequently told his spiritual children, "The time to fortify your castle is before the enemy is in sight, not during the attack." These words carry a profound wisdom that applies directly to the spiritual practice I shared with you today. Don't wait for signs of negative influence to become evident or oppressive. Establish your protective shield now through the correct and reverent use of holy water. Holy water, when used according to the principles that Father Peter preserved and transmitted, becomes much more than a symbol. It becomes an active presence of divine grace in your home and in your life. Like a silent sentinel, it stands guard over your dreams, your relationships, your health, and your spiritual well-being. But like all sentinels, it needs to be positioned correctly and treated with the respect due to its sacred function. Mystical teachings transmitted by Father Peter about holy water are not medieval superstitions or unfounded folk practices. They are based on profound spiritual principles that transcend cultures and epochs. Respect for the sacred, understanding the duality between purity and impurity, the importance of intention and faith in activating sacramentals. These are universal principles that we find in the highest spiritual traditions around the world. By repositioning holy water in your house according to this saint's teachings, you are not just following a religious tradition, you are realigning your physical space with the spiritual laws that govern the interaction between the visible and the invisible. This realignment creates a harmony that manifests at all levels of your existence: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Always remember, holy water is not just an object. It is a point of contact between the human and the divine, between the natural and the supernatural. Treating it with reverence is not superstition, but recognition of its true nature and potential. Each time you trace the sign of the cross with holy water, you are renewing and reaffirming your connection with the divine and your rejection of everything that opposes light. Father Peter's promise for those who faithfully follow these teachings is clear and powerful. Whoever honors holy water as an instrument of divine grace, positioning it correctly and using it with sincere faith, builds around themselves a spiritual fortress that no force of darkness can penetrate. This promise awaits its fulfillment in your life. The knowledge has been shared, the path has been shown. Now the decision to act and the moment to act is yours.